Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 8 math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab, scroll down to grade 8 and then click on view all lessons. So there you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter rational numbers, right? So please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well, right? So here I'm on grade 8 math. The chapter we are on right now is rational and irrational numbers. So let's just start with the lesson. Identify rational and irrational numbers. Let's just start with the first lesson, right? So start with the first example. Is 7 a rational number? That is, I think, square root 7. Hold on, let me check. Mm, yes, it is square root 7, right? That's a square root 7. Just do not confuse, it is like this. Is square root 7 a rational number? Right? So basically, the rational numbers are the numbers that can be written in the form of fraction, right? You can write them as a by b. When written as decimals, rational numbers terminate or repeat. So when you evaluate 7 square root 7 from the calculator, the answer is 2.64575, right? That means it cannot be written in the form of fractions. So square root 7 is not a rational number, right? The correct option is no, square root 7 is not a rational number, right? The next example is 2 by 4 a rational number? 2 by 4 is written in the form of a 2 by 4, sorry, the question is 2 by 4 an irrational number? No, 2 by 4 is not an irrational number because irrational numbers are the one that cannot be written in the form of a by b, right? So 2 by 4 is already in the form of a over b, right? That means 2 over 4 is a rational number. The correct option is 2 by 4 is a rational number, right? So that's why this isn't an irrational number, right? Okay, the next one is 8 by 9 an irrational number? No, 8 by 9 is not an irrational number. Why? Because 8 by 9 is a rational number, right? Rational it is because it is already written in the fractional form. So the one that can be written in the fractional form are the rational numbers, right? Okay, let's just start with the practice questions. The next one is 3 an irrational number? So which is the correct option? No, 3 is not an irrational number, right? The correct option is no, 3 is not an irrational number because you can write it as 3 by 1, right? Whenever you have a number that do not have any um, denominator, that means its denominator is 1, right? So you can write 3 as 3 by 1. Okay, is square root 7 a rational number? The correct option is No, square root 7 is not a rational number, right? The correct option is no, because you cannot write square root 7 in the form of fraction, right? So square root 7 is not a rational number. The correct option is no. Is 8 by 9 an irrational number? Which is the correct option? Yes or no? No, 8 by 9 is not an irrational number, right? Because 8 by 9 is a rational number, so it is not an irrational number. Okay, the next one is 5.452 a rational number? Which is the correct option? The correct option is no. 5.452 is not a rational number. That is a rational number, right? Because that is a terminating decimal, right? So rational numbers can be written in by a by b. When written as decimals, rational number terminate or repeat, so that is terminating rational number, terminating decimal, so that's why that is a rational number, right? The correct option is yes, it is a rational number, right? Okay, the next one is 9 by 2 a rational number? Is 9 by 2 an irrational number? The correct option is no, that is not an irrational number, right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. And the next lesson is write fractions in lowest terms. Let's just start with the next lesson, that is write fractions in lowest term. So how do we write the fractions in lowest term? You can write the fractions, you can write them in the lowest term if you divide them by the common number that can divide both numerator and denominator, right? Here is the explanation given. A fraction is written in the lowest term when it uses the smallest possible numerator and denominator, right? Like they cannot be divided further by any common number. To put fraction in lowest terms, find the largest number that divides both numerator and denominator. Divide both numerator and denominator by that number, right? So here you have 2 over 4, right? So the greatest number that can divide both numerator and denominator is 2, so simply divide them by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1 and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that is 1 over 2. The correct option is 1 over 2. So let's just start with the practice questions. You can write the fraction in the lowest form just by dividing them by the greatest common number, right? Greatest number that can divide both numerator and denominator, right? So write 2 by 8 in lowest term. So which is the number that can divide both numerator and denominator? The correct option is you have to divide them by 2, right? You can divide them by 2 because 2 is the greatest number that can divide both. So 2 divided by 2 is 1 and 8 divided by 2 is 2 times 4 is 8. So the lowest term is 1 over 4. Option number 1 is the correct option, right? Right, 6 by 8 in lowest term. So you have to find a number that can divide both, greatest number that can divide both numerator and denominator. That is, which is the number that can divide both numerator and denominator? 2 it is, right? So simply divide them by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3 and 8 divided by 2 is 4. 3 by 4. Now that 3 by 4 is the lowest term. You don't have any greatest number that can divide both 3 by 4 other than 1. Right? So the correct option is 3 by 4. Option number 1 is the correct option. Got it? The next one is write 6 by 9 in lowest term, which is the correct option. Yes, very good. That is 2 over 3. You have to divide them by the greatest number. The greatest number is 3. And yes, the correct option is 2 over 3. Option number 1 is the correct option. Very good. Okay, the next one is write 4 by 8 in lowest term, which is the correct option. The correct option is, yes, that is option number 1, that is 1 over 2, right? You can divide them by the common denominator, that is 4. So the correct option is 1 over 2. Option number 1 is the correct option, right? The next one is write 8 by 9 in lowest term. So which is the correct option? The correct option is you have only one is the greatest number, so you the correct option is 8 over 9, like, right? That means you have the greatest number that can divide both numerator and denominator is 1, so the correct option is 8 over 9, right? Okay, the next one is write 1 by 6 in the lowest term. So which is the correct option? Yes, that is option 3. No, the greatest common number is 1 that can divide both, right? That is 1 over 6, not 1 over 2. You already have 1 in the numerator. How you divide it by 2? Got it? The correct option is option number 1, that is 1 over 6. Isn't it? It's okay. Be careful, right? Let's just move on to next lesson. Okay, the next one is least common denominator. Let's just start with the next lesson, right? Okay, so the first example is, what is the least common denominator of 11 by 2 and 1 over 4, right? So the least common denominator is the least common multiple of the denominators, right? So you are given the fractions that are 11 over 12 and 1 over 4. So let's just see which is the least common denominator, right? So the denominators are 12 and 4. You can find the least common denominator just by making the prime factors of both the denominators. The denominators are 12 and 4. So the prime factors of 12 and 4 are 2 times 2 times 3, and for 4 they are 2 times 2, right? So you have the common numbers, that is 2 times 2, they are the common number, and this is the non-common denominator. The correct option is 2 times 2 is 4 and 4 times 3 is 12. That means the least common denominator of 11 by 12 or 1 by 4 is 12. Mm, like you want to know which lesson you missed for today? I didn't get your question. Let's just start the questions. Okay, what is the least common denominator of 5 by 6 and 5 by 12? So when you need to find the least common denominator, you need to find, you need to make the prime factors of both the denominators, right? So let's just make the prime factors of 6 and prime factors of 12 also, right? So the prime factors of 6 are, excuse me, the prime factors of 6 are 2 times 3, right? And the prime factors of 12 are 2 times 2 times 3, right? So 2 is a common factor and 3 is a common factor. So you have to multiply the common factors and the non-common factors as well. 2 times 3 is a common factor and 2 is a non-common factor. So 2 times 3 is 6 and 6 times 2 is 12. Got it? That means the least common denominator of 5 by 6 and 5 by 12 is 12, right? Least common denominator LCD, that is 12. The correct option is 12. Got it? One by two and okay, so you need to write the prime factors of 2 and 8 because the denominators are 2 and 8, right? So the prime factors of 2, that is 2, and then the prime factors of 8, that is 2 times 2 times 2, right? So this is a common factor, the common factor is 2, and these are the non-common factors, 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4 and 4 times 2 is 8. So the least common denominator of 1 by 2 and 1 by 8 is 8. Got it? The correct option is 8. Option number 2 is the correct option. One lesson we have covered earlier, I think, before you joined. One lesson I have covered earlier from the same lesson. Okay, what is the least common denominator of 3 by 10 and 3 by 5? So, which is the correct option? You have to write down the denominator of least common denominator of 10 and 5. So, let's just write down the um, prime factors of 10 and 5, right? Prime factors of 10 and 2 times 5. The prime factors of 5 are 1 times 5, right? So the common number is 5, right? And the non-common is 2. So 5 times 2 is 10. So the correct option is 10. I have covered one lesson earlier, right? Before you came. The correct option is 10. Option number 1 is the correct option. You can start the lesson from the beginning if you want to learn the first one. Okay, the next one is, what is the least common denominator of 5 by 6 and 1 over 3? Which is the correct option? The correct option is 6 is the least common denominator. The correct option is 6. Very good. Okay, the next one is, what is the least common denominator of 5 by 9 and 2 by 3? So, which is the correct option? The correct option is 9. Option number 1 is the correct option. For which question you are confused? Okay, the next one is, what is the least common denominator of 1 by 4 and 1 by 2? Which is the correct option? The correct option is 4. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. And the next lesson is round mixed numbers. Yes, the one we have covered earlier is identify rational and irrational numbers, right? Before you came. So we're going to start with the lesson that is round mixed numbers. Let's just start with the lesson. Okay, the first example is, what is 3 whole 3 by 16 rounded to the nearest whole number, right? You have to round off 3 by 16. So how to round off the numbers to round a mixed number to the nearest whole numbers? Look at the fractional part. If the fraction is less than 1 by 2, round down. If the fraction is greater than 1 by 2, round up, right? So now look at the fractional part. 3 by 16 it is. 3 by 16 is less than half, right? How do I know? The total portions are 16. Only 3 are colored, right? Just imagine something like this that has 16 portions. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right? For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, yes, 16. Only 3 are colored, right? So you can see that is less than half. So 3 by 16 is less than half, right? That means you need to round down. Round down means you need to round on the same whole number. So the correct option is 3, right? The correct option is 3, right? Okay, let's just start with the practice questions. Okay, 4 whole 2 by 3 rounded to the nearest whole number, right? The numerators which are not same. The lesson we have just finished before this one. When we were working on the lesson, you are worried about the one you missed. Now because you were worried about the lesson you missed. That is 2 over 3. You have to compare it to 1 by 2, right? So if you look at this one, you have 3 portions of a shape, and the same one you have the 2 portion, right? So when you colored 2 of them, that is more than one half, right? So that means 2 by 3 is greater than half, right? So you have to round up. 4 is rounded off to 5. You need to add 1 to the whole number, right? Because 2 by 3 is greater than 1 by 2, so that's why that is rounded off to 5. Now focus on the lesson we are on right now. You can ask the question when I'm, so that's one you cannot miss. 5, right? You have to round off to 5. These lessons are when I finished a session, the session is there on the channel, right? If you miss a lesson, you can go through the lesson again, right? As soon as I finish the session, you can search the session that I did today on the channel. So it's okay if you missed a lesson. You can search the channel later. The one we are on right now, please focus on the lesson, right? So what is 3 whole 3 by 6 rounded to the nearest whole number? The correct option is option number 1 is the correct option, right? That's the one we did on the tutorial. The correct option is 3. Option number 1 is the correct option. What is 75 whole 9 by 18 rounded to the nearest whole number? Which is the correct option? 9 by 18. 9 by 18 is exactly equal to half, right? So that means you need to round up, which is the correct option. The correct option is you have to round up because 9 by 18 is exactly equal to half. If a shape has 18 portions, 9 of them are colored. That means half of them are colored. So you have to round up. You have to round to 76. The correct option is 76. 92 whole. What is 92 whole 4 by 15 rounded to nearest whole number? So which is the correct option? 4 over 15, right? That is 4 over 14 is less than half. That means you have to round on the same decimal. The correct option is 92. You have to round on the same decimal, right? The correct option is 92. What is 1 whole 8 over 11 rounded to the nearest whole number? So which is the correct option? 8 over 11, right? More than um, half. 8 by 11 is greater than half, right? So you have to round up. Round up means you have to round on the 1 plus 1 is 2. You have to round off on 2. Round up means you have to add 1 to the whole number. 1 is the whole number. When you add 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. The correct option is 2, right? Okay, the next one is 63 whole 2 by 11 rounded to the nearest whole number. So which is the correct option? The correct option is you have to round on the same decimal. The correct option is 63, right? Because 2 by 11 is less than half. So you have to round on 63. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is absolute values of rational number, right? Let's just start with the next absolute values. Okay, what is the absolute value of negative 5.6? So absolute values are positive or 0, right? No negative values are in absolute value. If when you are going to calculate the absolute value of a negative number, that is always a positive number, right? So negative 5.5, if you have to calculate the absolute value of negative 5.6, the correct option is 5.6, right? Let's just start with the test questions. What is absolute value of 5.7? That is the sign of the, like, even you can see the two bars like this, that means you need to evaluate the absolute value of this number, right? So that is already a positive number, so the absolute value is 5.7. Option number 1 is the correct option, right? What is absolute value of negative 3.6? That's the negative number, right? So the absolute values are always the positive values, so the correct option is option number 1, that is 3.6. What is the absolute value of negative 3.5? So which is the correct option? That is option number 1, that is a positive number. 3 by 5 it is, right? What is the absolute value of negative 5.6? Which is the correct option? That is 5.6. Option number 1 is the correct option, right? What is the absolute value of 6? Which is the correct option? The correct option is option number 2 is the correct option, right? What is the absolute value of negative 3 by 8? The correct option is option number 1, right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So we were working on grade 8 math. The chapter we were working on is the rational numbers. The lessons we have covered today are identify rational and irrational numbers, right fractions in lowest terms, least common denominator, round mixed numbers, and absolute value of rational numbers, right? So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we did today. That is your homework until next session, right? So if you need more help with any of the lesson, you can contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday, 5 to 9, or either you can join me in the interactive session that would be daily from 4 to 5 and from 9 to 10, right? So if you have any questions related to the lessons we have just finished, you can please ask. I'm here to answer all your questions and confusions if you have any, so you can please ask question if you have any. I am waiting for the questions from your side. Any questions? Angel, if you have any question, you can please ask. Okay, that's all for today. See you in the next session. Bye, everyone.